Hello and welcome back to Clownfish TV. It is me, Geeky Sparkles, and it is just me for this video again because Kneon is elsewhere. But don't worry, he's fine. He's not sick. Nothing's going on. He just has other stuff he has to complete, and he's working on other things for now. Hopefully, he'll be back later today. We'll see. Today we're going to talk about an update with the whole Warner Bros. Discovery sale. We talked before that Netflix said that they would perhaps be willing to go with an all-cash offer to counter Paramount's all-cash offer. They only want the Warner Brothers film and things like DC in that. They don't want the Discovery aspect of it, but they were willing to pay all cash for what they wanted. And today they did do that. They put in an all-cash offer for the Warner Brothers parts they want, not the Discovery parts they don't. So before we get into it any further, please like and subscribe. If you do, I will give you a woohoo, and we're going to talk about this. So this article comes from Deadline. Netflix switches to all-cash bid for Warner Brothers. That happened today officially. They said Netflix should switch its agreement for Warner Bros. Discovery to an all-cash deal. The new offer still values Warner's at $27.75 per share, but it removes the $4.50 stock element. Before their deal was going to be part cash, part stock. All right. Paramount offered all cash, but they're getting their cash from a bunch of different sources, and that has its own, a bunch of issues with it. And they had some other things that they were worried that they couldn't afford the debt they were taking on and things like that. So now Netflix has come back and they're offering all cash for what they want. All right. And what they're offering, $27.75. Paramount was doing about $30. So that's about $2.25 difference. Which, you're like, well, that's a lot of money, except for the fact that the Discovery channels were going to be spun off into a Discovery Global. And what that would be its own, a separate company, own entity, which could be worth more than that $2.25 on its own as a separate company. So, and they would maintain that they're still Discovery, and they would maintain probably people that are already shareholders of that, or you could be a shareholder of the new company, and they would do like a lot of the streaming channels like TNT, CNN, Food Network, all those things as their own thing separate. So they're not paying as much as Paramount, but they're not getting as much as Paramount wanted. Paramount wanted all of that, if that makes sense. So under this new plan, the split would happen within the next 6 to 9 months prior to Netflix taking over the studio and streaming side of the media giant, so they could turn Global Discovery or Discovery Global into its own brand. Because with the Paramount deal, because it could take so long to go through, they wanted everything. And that would delay the spinoff for Discovery Global. And the way they had it set up initially was that it wasn't, binding. They could turn around at the 11th hour and decide, hey, we don't want to do this anymore, and then walk away, pay a cancellation fee. And then Warner Bros. Discovery would have to start all over again with spinning off Discovery Global. Where if they can start it now as a spinoff, pending this deal, it would save them a lot of time and money down the road. So that's another reason that this deal with Netflix looks a lot better to them. They get to, those who wanted to keep their own little company, their own little pocket universe, get to keep their own little pocket universe and offload all the stuff while making money and moving forward on what they want to do. So that's all, very positive to them with the Netflix deal. So they're talking here, Paramount, they're saying they're going to sue, and they're talking in Delaware court about how they're trying to propose a lawsuit about their deal-making process. Both Netflix and Warner Bros. Discovery said the agreement provides enhanced certainty to the shareholders by eliminating market-based variability. The new agreement, still worth the previous $82.7 billion, would also likely lead to a faster pathway to a shareholder vote, which could be as early as April, as opposed to, down the road longer until they get their ducks in a row with Paramount. Again, just because they voted to go through, it's still going to take a little while to go through, but it'll go through quicker, pending the government and all that. If that sides with it, they'll go through faster with the Netflix all-cash offer. The agreement also heaps the pressure back onto Warner Bros. Discovery suitor Paramount, which has been lobbying to get the Netflix deal squashed and allow for their own offer of $30 per share to be taken forward. Paramount's offer factors the Discovery portion of the business, which Netflix is not buying. Now, Hollywood, of course, is not happy about either one buying it, but that's, what's your solution? Because Warner Brothers Discovery staying as it is apparently isn't a viable solution. Eventually, it's going to, go down either way, so they're going to have to spin it off into somebody. I'm not sure what you want. The two, now where it's at, Netflix does seem like it's starting to be the better offer in the regards to the fact that Sarandos did say they were going to go with the 45-day window, which is pretty much standard anymore, thanks to the pandemic, that they'll leave it in theaters 45 days before they put it on their streaming services. However, I want to point out that that's what they're saying to get the deal through. It doesn't mean that like a year or two from now, they're not going to change their mind. But I think what it's going to come down to is, I think it's going to be they're going to have a wait and see approach. And if it's going to take, they do it and they find out that, oh, look, the theatrical business makes a lot of money and it's actually benefiting us to offer it in theaters first before we take it to streaming. And we're actually, coming up, in profit that way. They'll keep it that way. However, if they don't see the profits from doing it that way, they're going to probably go back to what they've been doing with 17-day window or going to streaming directly or something like that. So even if they promise the 45-day window initially, I think that's the way he's been talking. I think he's into the idea, but I think he wants to see how it works because they're not normally a theater company. Netflix has been notoriously anti-theatrical release. We got theatrical release with K-pop Demon Hunters. We got some theatrical releasing with Stranger Things for like a day or two for each of those, but they haven't done like big theatrical releases that were theatrical completely first and then going to streaming. They were tied to the streaming releases. So they don't have the background in it to see how it's going to impact the company. I think they'll wait and see and then decide a couple of years from now how they're going to keep it then if they get Warner Brothers in this deal. I don't know how it's going to work out. It's a case of we'll have to wait and see type situation. But he is willing to, go the theatrical route first to try to calm the fears of Hollywood. Not that he's not wrong in the fact that I think everything's changing anyway, and eventually theaters aren't going to be viable. I hate to say that, but I think that's probably not untrue. So we'll just see what happens. Now, Netflix, I think where they have a benefit over Paramount with regulation is that while they have the biggest streamer, one of the biggest streamers, they don't have a theatrical arm. They don't have studios and things to the regards of going to theaters first, where Paramount and Skydance have that. And they also have streaming services. So to me, I would think Paramount would have more, questionable things about whether they already own these things, what they have to get rid of. They already have news networks. They already have all these things because Netflix would gain CNN if they got this. And a lot of times, like when Disney got Fox, they had to take things they weren't allowed to keep and then sell them. So there always is that option that Paramount would have to sell what they couldn't keep, legally, would be considered antitrust or whatever. But Netflix, I think, doesn't hit as many of those problematic, bumps in the road that Paramount would hit. But right now they're saying President Trump has signaled that he has support and distrust the deal. And he says that it would be a major factor in whether the deal goes forward. Again, I said before and I say it again. I think that's, kind of, if you're doing it for your friends, it's kind of a little bit of abuse of power, in my opinion. Warner Bros. Discovery gave a price to the spinoff Discovery Global after advisors applied 3 different metrics. So this is what they're valuing the company per share, which we talked about earlier. The first values the company at a low of $1.33 per share, which is about less than $1 under the difference of what it would be between the two offers, and a high of $3.24, which definitely is, I guess that'd be is $2.25. So that's about $1 under, where the high of $3.24 is about $1 over. So it could fall in the middle. So it's actually coming out about the same offer then. Should Discovery Global become involved in a potential future transaction, this could rise to as much as $6.86 per proxy filing made in the past few hours, meaning that if they spin off, it could be valued between $1.33 per share to $3.24 per share, which in the middle ground is definitely even to what the offer is. But if somebody would be interested in buying Discovery Global as its own thing, it could immediately jump that up to $6.86 per share, which makes a lot more money for shareholders. I think they're making a good case as to why having it sold to Netflix with the two and then spinning off is a good thing. And again, I'm not like huge on Netflix. I think Netflix is super, super far left a lot of ways, and they've done some things to shows I'm not happy about. But in this battle, I think they have the better deal. So today's revised merger agreement brings us even closer to combining two of the greatest storytelling companies in the world. And with it, even more people will enjoy the entertainment they love to watch the most, said Zaslav, who is the president and CEO. By coming together with Netflix, we'll combine the stories Warner Brothers has told that have captured the world's attention for more than a century and ensure audiences continue to enjoy them for generations to come. I think that's also Zaslav. Sarandon said the Warner Brothers Discovery Board continues to support and unanimously recommend our transaction, and we are confident that it will deliver the best outcome for stockholders, consumers, creators, and the broader entertainment community. Our revised all-cash agreement will enable an expedited timeline to the stockholder vote and provide greater financial certainty. They're talking about being cash offer and things like that. So there it is. I'm not sure how it's going to go. I don't. Hollywood's probably still going to have a hissy fit. We'll see what happens. Paramount's going to have a hissy fit, so we'll see what they say here shortly. But that's what has happened today. Yes, and then the board has unanimously agreed to this possible deal, and they want to go with this in this direction. So what do you think? Do you think that Netflix should get to buy Warner Bros. Discovery? Do you think Paramount should get to buy Warner Bros. Discovery? Do you think it's all a big shit show and you're just here to watch everything fall down and the flames of fandom and the flames of Hollywood burn brighter? Please comment and let us know, and we'll talk to you later. Bye.